You're watching Public Affairs. Berkowitz is my name, and politics is our game. And we will be doing politics this evening because we have as our guest Alderman Tom Allen. He's a Chicago Alderman from the 38th Ward. He is running for state's attorney. He would like to be the state's attorney of Cook County. He's running in the Democratic primary. We're taping the show on October 28th, and I think, if I got it right, tomorrow he'll file about 20,000 signatures or so.
That's the number, roughly.
All people who are saying they're standing behind you to put your name on the ballot, that's Alderman Tom Allen. And for our regular viewers, you'll know we're working our way through the list. There are likely to be 7 candidates when the dust clears in terms of filing. We've had Commissioner Larry Sefferton on, we've had Alderman Howard Brookins on, and so this is the 3rd, Alderman Tom Allen. And what some would say would be the top tier, others might dispute that, but the top 3 candidates of the 7 to replace State's Attorney Dick Devine, who's been there for 12 years. And of course, the winner in the Democratic primary on February 5th will face the winner in a Republican primary and in that general election of the fall of 2008. Alderman Tom Allen, a bit about him: 10 years as Assistant Public Defender, 7 years in private practice with Marcus Allen Chapekis, doing a general practice, litigation, and some criminal defense, and so forth.
That's correct.
Was an administrative and legislative assistant in the 38th Ward before he became the alderman 14 years ago, appointed by Mayor Richard M. Daley, as is the power of the mayor to make appointments when a vacancy appears. He has run for re-election 3 times, right?
I believe so, 3 or 4.
We lost track.
Not quite sure.
95? Actually, we got it wrong. You're right,
yeah.
4 times. Thanks for the correction. You got reelected or got re-election, one re-election in 95, 99, 03, and then recently in 07.
07, that's
so
correct.
You've been there 14 years, still working part-time with the same law firm. You have, Alderman Allen has tried, what, 50 juries to...
You know what, I got to tell you, Jeff, I was never one to count the numbers. Many people kept track of them. I just
You're comfortable
one
with
day
juries,
at a time.
You're comfortable with jury trials.
I love talking to juries, yeah.
They can't talk back. That's why lawyers like it.
You know why? They're real people. Okay.
They're real people, you think?
Yeah, just like you. That's why I like talking to real people.
All right.
Okay.
And Holy Cross High School, Illinois Benedictine College, Chicago, Kent, graduated from Kent with honors, and married a number of years. His wife was former Janice Gray, right?
That's correct.
4 kids, mostly grown up at this point. A lot of significant battles in the city council. We'll get into that and talk to that later in the show, but let's get right to the issues. You're running for state's attorney. Is Richard M. Daley on the ballot? Because the issue of torture is likely to come up. It's been something people have been talking about. It's certainly a part of the state's attorney's office history. Richard M. Daley, the mayor, was state's attorney from 83 to 89?
1980 to 89, yes.
Right. And so he was there when people were starting to talk about the torture that went on with John Burge and others from Area 2, which I'm sure you know something about as assistant public defender.
Well, you can bet I know a little bit about the whole Burge history, and I was in the Cook County Public Defender's Office from 1976 to 1986. For the last 4 years of my career, I tried nothing but homicide cases. I was in the elite homicide task force. There was a unit of 18 lawyers. All I did was death penalty cases, capital cases. I had a half a dozen cases with Lieutenant Burge. I tried one death penalty case out in Markham where he was a key witness, and I hung the jury. The jury didn't believe him, that he had voluntarily gotten a statement from my client, and it was I've seen that side.
Did you
that
know
dark
what was
side.
going on then? Did you know
Well,
what was going on? Tell us, because you were close to it. Tell the viewers what was going on under John Burge when he had defendants before him in the chair.
Well, here's the deal. Okay, representing individuals charged with crimes, homicide cases, for the last 4 years of my career, we would compare notes to the other attorneys in the office, and we would hear sometimes the same scenario description from different people charged with crimes and who are not connected in any way. So it was hard to say that they were fabricating these claims. So we would put on motions to suppress the statements. The client would testify, the police officer would refute the client's testimony, and invariably, unfortunately, the statements were allowed to be admitted. The Burge thing broke in 1983 with the Andrew Wilson and Jackie Wilson case. The reason being that in this situation, those were two brothers charged with the brutal murder of two police officers on a traffic stop on the south side. And they were arrested, and there were physical signs of abuse, and it was hard to refute, but yet it was public and people heard it for the first time. So it was a bad time in the Chicago police.
For the first time?
Well, they heard and saw pretty good solid evidence of police abuse of a prisoner in custody.
Torture? Torture
well,
to get
you can
a
call
confession?
what you want, but I
You'd
mean,
call it abuse?
Yeah, I call it when you put a
Well,
plastic.
you're the public defender.
Well,
When you
here's
were a
the
public
deal.
defender, how would you refer to this?
Well, I call it torture is the word everyone's using now. I call it beating a confession out of somebody.
Beating
Okay,
a
I don't use
confession.
fancy
Okay.
words. Okay,
Yeah.
when you put a plastic bag over someone's head, trying to get them to talk. You put a telephone book on someone's head and hit it with a baseball bat. There's a
That'll
whole.
get him talking.
Well, that's right.
That'll get
Well,
him
I don't
that
know.
may get him confessing to things that they didn't do. Is that
Point
what you're
is,
saying?
it's wrong. Point is, it shouldn't happen.
Yeah.
Point is, if it happens on the street, you're arrested, you're charged, and you're convicted. Well, the same thing should happen if it's a police officer, even more so. Okay.
Arrested, charged, and
Right.
convicted
That's
of
right.
police brutality, right?
Of
Whatever
yeah.
you want to call it.
Yeah, it's a battery, it's an attempt murder, or whatever you want to call it. It's wrong.
And
so there shouldn't be a different.
You knew about it at that time. When
Well,
would
you know
say?
what, you know,
knew about 83, 84,
Well,
is that what
yeah.
you're saying?
Well, I mean, knowing about it it's like Greylord. People knew about Greylord, but you could
You
see
didn't have
it.
specific instances
That's right.
to document.
You could see it, you could smell it, but I mean, until.
State's Attorney Mayor Richard Daley at that time, what do you suppose he knew about it? And when
Well,
did he know?
I'm not going to get into what we suppose anyone knows.
Well, there's been a report. You know there's been a report
Yeah, I was
out.
interviewed.
Did you read
by,
the report?
Well, I was interviewed by the guys.
Okay.
Several of my cases were involved with Lieutenant
That was the
Burge.
Egan report, right?
That's right. Yeah,
Cook County did a report to find out what had been going on. You read the report?
Yeah, a long time ago, yes. But you know what? I don't need to read the report. I lived the report. I was there from 76
So
to 86.
why are you reluctant to say what you think Mayor Daley, now then State's Attorney
not
Daley,
reluctant.
knew about it?
I'm not reluctant
What
to
did he
say
know
what he
about
knows.
it? What did he know about
I can't get into his brain. I don't know what was on his desk. All I know is there was rumblings among defense lawyers. The system, the 26 in California, was talking about it, and it was always Area 2, and it was Lieutenant Burge.
Okay, and his first assistant, Mayor Daley's first assistant then was now State's Attorney Dick Devine, and
That's
State's
correct.
Attorney for the last 12 years.
Right.
Well, so do you think, wouldn't Daley have to say to Devine, let's find out what's going on here and let's do the right thing?
Well, that's what happened in my office.
And did
if I'm
Daley
the
ever tell
prosecutor.
people, has he said publicly, you know, that's what I was doing, I was talking to Devine, we were trying to find out, but we couldn't? Is that what Daley said?
Oh, I don't know what Daley said.
You don't know
I
what
mean,
Daley said?
No.
I mean,
I
you're
just
an
turn-
alderman, you're in the 38th Ward.
I
you see
turn on
guy?
the TV to see what you guys get him to say every day, okay? But
Okay.
I mean, I don't know
All
what
right.
he said in 1982, 83, 85.
Well, in your mind, are Daley and Devine on the ballot? Because is this going to be an
No,
issue, what they
no.
did?
Oh, what they did?
Yeah.
No, if I'm a voter,
You don't
what,
care
what do
about
I
what
care
Daley
about
and
what
Devine-
Daley did in 83? I would care about who wants to run this office, who has the knowledge, the experience, in a broad sense, to understand that very issue that you're talking about, and who has a record of accomplishments and who would do a good job. That's what I would want to know if I was a voter.
Well, is it also who's going to be independent of forces from Daley, from Devine, and
come on.
others? That's
Forces
not an issue?
independent? Who's going to be, somebody's going to influence the state's attorney of Cook County. Richard Daley's going to reach out from the 5th floor.
Did Daley influence Dick Devine not to pursue this, do you think?
I'm not Dick Devine.
You don't know?
I'm not Dick Devine.
Well,
no one's going to influence me.
If somebody's close to Devine, is that an issue? You know, is Larry Sufferton too close to Devine?
You know what? The voters should vote on the person, okay? When the people go to the polling place, and we've just
how do they know? How do they know how independent you are? You're all going to say you're independent, so how do they know who's truly independent?
What the buzzword independent means.
You don't know what it means.
No. I think you and the media and the people love to throw that word out there, and some people say I'm independent. Here's what I am. I find and identify problems that my constituents bring to me. They look for solutions, and I fashion a solution to get a result, to protect them, make their family safe.
So you're a problem solver. Is that what you're running on? Is that your platform?
I'm
you look for solutions?
I look for solutions, you better believe it.
So, you know, Howard Brookins says he's trying to restore integrity to the criminal justice system. Larry Sufferton says on his platform that it's about independence and judgment and experience. What do you put on your marker? What's your platform?
It's about keeping people safe and protecting people, keeping families safe, getting the guns off the street, okay? Protecting against child predators, both on street and online. Getting the new drugs that are out there, getting out ahead of that stuff. Protecting victims, making sure the victims and witnesses know what they're doing.
Getting guns off the street. Would you like to see more gun control?
You got to get the guns off the street. More gun control. You know, there's 300 million.
What does that mean? I mean, literally, some people say, you know, we have to restrict people from buying guns more than we do. It's been proposed you shouldn't be allowed to buy more than one gun a month. Is that something you could support? Is that what you mean by getting guns off the street?
I don't think if you put in a law right now that said you can't buy more than one gun a month, do you think that's going to solve our problem? What's on the street with the guns that are there now? There's 300 million people in the United States. So that's numbers I read.
So you'd support that, but you don't think it's the solution?
No.
So what do you mean by getting guns?
Well, what I mean is, you know, get out and be more creative. Coordinate some kinds of police action, both on the federal level, the state level, and the county level, and do some sting operations. Start getting to the source of the guns, and most of them are gangbangers or people that are on the street.
Have more undercover purchasers of guns, so you could find out who's selling the guns.
Get the guys that are handing them off before they hand it off to someone who then kills a 10-year-old kid.
Illegally. These are guns that are being transferred illegally.
Everything on the street. When I was a public,
it's all illegal. Is that what you're saying? All
illegal? Yeah, everything on the street. In gun court, you go to a branch court or anywhere in Cook County and watch the cases that are called. They're all handguns, and they're on the street. And somebody's moving those things. Okay, so what we do is we arrest the guy who's got the gun, and we charge him with a misdemeanor, maybe a felony if it's the rights permit.
What about just raising the penalties for people who use guns in the commission of a crime?
Well, those have been raised off the charts. They're still.
And what about apprehending more resources to apprehending them, and then convicting them and seeing that they actually do the time?
There you go. Now you're talking, right?
The whole system has to work.
Right. You have to. We have to get the people that are filtering the guns into the system, okay, and come at them high, fast, and hard. And what happens is, and make an example of it, okay? So coordinate those agencies together. Put those people on notice that, look, if we do this, we may be subject to some hard-nosed tactics by a tough prosecutor, coordinating efforts with local law enforcement.
Why would you suppose, I mean, just pick it out, I mean, not to pick on Dick Devine, but he's been there 12 years. Why would you suppose you would do it better than he's done in the last 12 years?
I know my personality. I know my level of energy, and I also know that I like to help people, okay? And all those personality traits in me make me want to do things aggressively, creatively, and innovative. If you look at my record in the city council, most of the stuff I do is common sense, all right? Trucks were parking in big tractor trailers, parking across our streets and blocking sidewalks and crosswalks. Ticketing them, they're all out of state, and people were screaming and hollering. The city says, we can't do anything. I said, well, we got to get rid of these. We got to tow them. We can't tow them. Put a boot on them. Well, we don't have boots. Well, what do you mean we don't have boots? We got boots for the cars. Well, we don't make big boots like that. I said, well, we're going to make some. I called all over the country, had my staff find it. We found a vendor that made big Denver boots. Guess what? We put the boots on the trucks, and in 6 months, they're all gone, okay? I mean, what I like to do is fashion solutions that are common sense. police officers. We don't have enough police officers on the street, okay? Nobody's writing traffic tickets. Cars are running kids over, putting pedestrians at risk. We can't write tickets. People are running red lights. I said, we need red light cameras. I was the one who initiated that. I looked across the country, brought in vendors.
More cameras to find people who are running red lights, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, to make the intersections safe.
And that's what the city council has done, more cameras out there.
To make the streets safe, and now we're using the cameras to help the police solve crimes and be able to visualize activity on the street. Listen, it's all about the energy and the personality and the commitment you take.
Common sense solutions, you're saying?
Yeah. That's my whole career.
Is there too much police brutality out there now and police abuse? And
sure.
Are the police out of control?
I don't know.
Are the Chicago police out of control?
No, the Chicago police.
Just a small number,
the supervision of certain units is out of control.
Well,
I mean, I can tell you that from watching this.
Does that mean the watch commanders, or does that mean the superintendent of police?
What I'm saying is the supervision of certain groups, certain police groups, that SOS operation. It's real simple. If you got
Special Ops is now disbanded, right?
Yeah,
because
but what I'm saying is
so much abuse.
Yeah, no supervision. Okay. That would be my perspective. I think it was lack of supervision.
But you support, there's an effort by aldermen, 28 aldermen, to get identification of these 662 policemen who have 10 or more complaints of abuse. Are you one of those 28?
No, I'm not one of those 28.
You don't think that the public or the aldermen have a right to know who the policemen are who are getting numerous complaints of abuse?
I think that the fact that a segment of our police unit, a very narrow segment, has an overly inordinate number of complaints should definitely be dealt with internally, and they should take care of it.
But it's not getting dealt with internally, is it?
Well, we just got a new OPS administrator.
What would be the harm to the alderman finding out the names of these people?
What's the benefit?
Well, they can track and see if something's done.
Who's going to track? We're going to go out and do these super sleuths.
We're going to go
out and track down the police.
You've got a committee.
Those police officers, anybody who abuses a person, a citizen, that police officer is doing something wrong, and that police officer should be prosecuted. It's real simple. I mean,
it's simple to say it, but it doesn't happen, as you know.
Well, it will happen when I'm state's attorney.
Internal affairs is not.
It will happen.
You've got a board, a review board that still is a new board that's not going to be independent of the mayor. So how do you say it's going to happen? It doesn't report to the state's attorney, does it?
No, the state's attorney.
What do you have to do about that board?
Well, I'll tell you real simple. I don't have anything to do about that board, okay? But I do have some common sense and some brains. And if somebody has 60 or 80 or 100 OPS complaints against them, you know what I might do as state's attorney? I don't need Mr. OPS to tell me about that. I don't need to know all that. I'd convene a grand jury, and I'd start bringing in the people.
You can get them, because as you said before the show, grand juries would indict a ham sandwich, right?
That's true.
So they're going to certainly indict a police officer who's guilty of abuse.
They should, and they should. Right. And I'll give them a preliminary hearing if they want a preliminary hearing. Either way. But I don't need, if you're a state's attorney, you don't need the OPS to tell you who's doing something bad. Once that's identified, you as a prosecutor, you have the independent arm of the grand jury and your investigative powers to go after crime. And Mayor Daley's not going to tell me not to do it, or Dick Devine won't tell me not to do it. That's ridiculous.
Well, if they did try, you're saying you're not going to listen to them.
It's ridiculous.
But are you independent? I mean, have you've been in the city council for 14 years?
Oh, that is a comical word.
Is it? Okay. You don't put any meaning to it at all.
You know what?
So
I am who I am. Go look at my record and see who I am. I mean, I'm not. I mean, that independent thing is just.
You think it's a crock?
Well, I think labels don't mean anything to me, and someone's labeling themselves something means nothing to me. What I think is you judge a person based on what they've done with their life, their career, whether it's in public service, law, or any other aspect. So then you
join with Melissa Etheridge, who said you should label records, not people?
Pardon me? Label records? Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of labels.
All right. So, talking about labels, or at least characterizations, Larry Suffredin, sitting in that chair, said Inglewood and other minority areas are getting short shrift from the state's attorney's office. Does Larry have a point, and if so, what would you do about it?
Well, I don't know what Larry based that on, but I'll tell you what.
Do you agree? Is Inglewood getting okay treatment from the state's attorney's office? Other minority areas, are they getting fair treatment?
They better be. They should be.
Do you think they are? I know you think they should be.
Yes, I think they are. I mean, the prosecutors are overwhelmed with the numbers and the cases that come into the system, okay? Their main job is to prosecute, to get those cases to trial, and to inform witnesses and take care of the victims that are victims of crime. And if there's a certain neighborhood or area in the city that has a high incidence of crime, then it only is common sense to say that they should get more resources.
But are they getting those resources? That's the question.
Well,
do you know? I mean,
I
you want to be in that
personally.
office. You should be an issue, right?
Well,
if they're not doing it, you should be making an issue, shouldn't you?
If they're not getting the resources, sure.
But you don't know if they are.
No, I mean, you could probably pick any neighborhood in the community. You can come out to my neighborhood, and my neighborhood will tell you that they're not getting the resources that they need from the Chicago Police Department, and it would follow then if they're not getting them from the Chicago Police Department, they're not getting them from the state.
Your neighbor, they're probably getting them because you're doing your job as an alderman. The 30th ward gets treated okay.
I'm trying. I do it. I try to help and keep people safe. That's the most important thing.
Back on race, diversity, Suffredin said 20% of his staff in the state's attorney's office should be minority. Currently, I think it's about 6 or 7%.
It is. It's way too low. It's way too low.
Of your staff?
I won't pick a number, but it's got to go up. It's got to go up.
But you're not going to guarantee a number.
It's got to go.
No, not even a goal.
No, you can't.
Not even a.
No, I'm not going to get tied into numbers. People are saying you can't do it. Now that's ridiculous. Okay, the Cook County State's Attorney's Office and the whole criminal justice system at 26 in California in Cook County is the most incredible learning ground for any lawyer in the United States of America, bar none. Okay. So I'm not going to accept the notion that we can't recruit minorities to increase the diversity in the office.
But you don't know what the number is going to be when you're there.
No, just go get it up, get it up.
Is race an issue between just the three of you? When you look at Brookins, obviously African-American, Suffredin white, you're white. Some people say the two whites of the top three candidates split the vote. Brookins wins because minorities are going to look to another minority to vote for state's attorney. What do you say to that analysis?
I think you guys are selling, whoever the shell-minded people are saying that, are selling the voters of Cook County way short.
You're out there campaigning in the African-American community?
Yeah, I go
You're going to get African-Americans to vote for you?
I would hope so. If they look at my career, I was a Cook County public defender for 10 years.
So this race is not about race for state's attorney?
No, it's not about race. That's ridiculous. The voters are much smarter than that. They're going to look at people's records, they're going to look at what their accomplishments are, and they're going to look to who the person is, their background, how they came up in life. I mean, I'm proud of my background. I was one of 8 kids. I worked my way through college and law school as a laborer.
So nobody handed you anything?
Darn right.
It's not like Alan Name got you there because it was Tom Allen.
You got it.
Unlike maybe Daley got there because his name was Daley, you think maybe?
I think,
Hines got there because his name was Hines? Madigan got there Lisa, because
did you get them all?
So how many do we have here? Blagojevich got there because of his father-in-law Mel.
My dad was a bricklayer.
Did I forget anybody?
I should have been a bricklayer, maybe.
No, but is that
you're
a Democrat? Is that a problem with the Democratic Party? To get anywhere, you got to have sort of be somewhere.
No, I don't buy it. I don't buy it. You know how you get somewhere? You know how you get somewhere in life or in politics or anything? Hard work and passion and energy. That's how you get there.
Well, sometimes patronage helps. Some people say there's a lot of patronage in the state's attorney's office, even with lawyers. You agree?
I don't know.
You don't know. You're not going to say. What about unions? Some people say it should be unionized. You're supposed to be close with labor. Would you support a union, a unionized state's attorney staff?
Labor is not a dirty word in my vocabulary. Labor is a backbone of America. Labor is how we all
are able to earn a living. You're getting big-time support from labor.
Yeah,
what's your connection with labor? Is it in the family?
My connection with labor is that I was a laborer.
People say it's in the family. Is it in the family?
It's in the family. It's in the genes.
How's it in the family?
In the blood.
What's the connection?
Well, my grandfather was a bricklayer. My dad's a bricklayer. My brother's a bricklayer. I got 3 brothers who are electricians.
But stronger with the unions. Why are they backing you? Are they backing you?
Well, they're backing me because I'm a regular guy and I'm like one and out.
Also because you
I didn't come from anywhere. I didn't come. Well, let me finish. I didn't come from any fast, high bloodline. I didn't inherit anything, and I just worked hard. And I work on issues that are important to families. And the most important issue for families in Cook County as a state's attorney is to keep someone safe, so that someone can walk out of their house. A lady in Englewood can walk out of her house, go to the park with her child without getting their child's shot in the head and killed.
Would you support unionizing the state's attorney's office?
I support the right of labor to organize any place, anytime, anywhere.
They have that right. Are you neutral on that? Would you?
Sure, I'd support it.
You'd support it.
Right. I was in the public defender's office.
Would it be better if the state's attorneys were unionized?
Well, let me tell you.
The assistant state's attorneys.
Well, I would say probably yes. Here's why. All right, in the mid-'80s, I was in the public defender's office, and they were trying to organize. First time around, it failed. After I left, they organized. And they have a better pay scale, they have better benefits, and as we saw recently, their pay outstripped the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. Workers have a right to organize, and I support that across the board. It's the only way you can compete with an employer like Walmart
We're
or
talking
anybody
crime,
else.
and you talk crime a lot, but what about public corruption? You know, Don Tomczak supported an army to help elect variety Democrats, including Rahm Emanuel. That's all clear from plea agreements. Sorge has been convicted of phony tests to hire people in the city of Chicago, patronage, hired truck, hired tow, the Duffs, abuses of minority hiring and all that. All came up from prosecutions of the U.S. Attorney's Office. Has the state's Attorney's Office been asleep for the last 12 years in terms of public corruption?
Well, the state's Attorney's Office should prosecute all crime. You know, there's
I know they should, but why is it all coming through the U.S. Attorney's Office? Has the state's Attorney's Office been asleep on public corruption, and would you do it differently if you were there?
I would definitely investigate. First of all, the word corruption again is another word.
Well, hired truck,
right,
hired tow.
Well, let me tell you how I define corruption. Okay, when someone's stealing money from the taxpayers, I call it thievery. Okay, theft or robbery. The fancy word corruption to me is just.
Was Sorge involved? Was Sorge involved in corruption?
No, only when we use.
Was that a yes or no?
Was
Sorge, yeah.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is, I think that to tell people what it really is they're stealing, they're robbing, they're embezzling, and they're extorting from the taxpayers. And if they are, they should be prosecuted, and in an aggressive way, and the state's Attorney's Office of Cook County should be involved.
Have they been aggressive
it doesn't
on
seem
that kind of
It doesn't seem that way.
Doesn't seem
they
that
should
way.
be, and under my leadership, they would be involved.
You support bringing back capital punishment?
Bringing it back.
Well, you know, it's on the books, but nobody's been executed for 7 years because there's a moratorium.
There's a moratorium.
Should it be lifted? Is it time? Been lots of reforms. People are doing things, one would say, differently, better in the state's Attorney's Office. Have we reformed enough so that the moratorium on capital punishment can be lifted?
The moratorium on capital punishment is at the governor's discretion. Let me tell you.
As state's attorney, what would you advise?
As state's attorney, the death penalty is on the books. And it's the law of the land.
Do you think capital punishment is effective?
I'm not saying it.
Would you support it as a law?
Yes.
Would you advise the state legislators to have capital punishment?
Yes.
Yes, you would.
Yes.
Now,
for
would
the
you
most
advise
brutal and heinous crimes, it has to. It is the law of the land, and for the most brutal and heinous crimes.
I'm the governor. I'm asking you for advice. You're the state's attorney. Would you like to see the moratorium lifted on capital punishment?
When they get their house in order, yes. As it relates to the
issues. Is it in order now?
I'm not sure it is.
We're going to continue to speak as the credits roll, but I very much want to thank our guest, Alderman Tom Allen. Thank you so much for coming. He is, of course, running for state's attorney of Cook County. He is one of, we think, 7 candidates. We're taping this on the 28th. You'll be watching it in the week of November 5th, if you're in the suburbs, on November 12th, if you're in the city of Chicago. By that time, he will have been a candidate. You will have filed, and we'll know if you have 6 other opponents, right?
2 more, we got a baseball team, okay?
All right.
So maybe you should jump in.
Well, I'm not doing that at all. Videotaped confessions, are they working? Videotaped interrogations, people said that was going to be difficult. Is it working? Do you support them wholeheartedly?
Oh, I support them wholeheartedly. I'm probably the only one in this group that, from a defense perspective, has ever tried a capital murder case on the defense side, and I've tried dozens of them. I had one of my clients who was wrongfully convicted, spent 17 years.
Is that important? In order to guide the folks in the state's attorney's office, the assistant state's attorneys, you got to be a trial lawyer. Somebody's actually done it.
Well, I think it's.
But have you done it recently? Have you tried a case recently? Is that important?
Recently? Not a capital murder case. Have I done?
Could you go back and do it tomorrow? If
it's like riding a bike.
You never forget.
You better believe it.
That's important because you got to be a leader. You got to show those folks you know how to do it. You can't ask them.
I have the balance that these other candidates don't. In that respect.
Do you have $1.5 million to get elected? That's what you need in the Democratic primary. You got 500,000. That's committed to you already.
I have, and it's.
You'll have $1.5 million by February 5th.
It's very gratifying that people are enthusiastically supporting my candidacy. And it's humbling, so I'm ready to go.
You're ready to take on who are you going to face? Tony Pareika for state's attorney in the general election?
You know what?
You think you're a good one-on-one against Tony Pareika?
I live my life one day at a time. Yeah, I'm a fighter, I'll tell you that.
What do you think of Tony Pareika?
Honest,
what about Tony Pareika? You know him, Cook County Commissioner. What do you think?
I don't know him. I've seen him. You guys like to put him on TV a lot, so I see him a lot.
Oh, I like to put him on. I mean, the media do.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, you know.
You know him. You think he'd be a good one-on-one matchup?